Envy might be one of the most hated characters in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and honestly, fair. This little menace did not exactly show up trying to win anybody over. He lied, manipulated people, mocked human suffering, helped create some of the worst tragedies in the story, and killed Maes Hughes in one of the dirtiest ways possible. And he didn't just kill him, he turned into Hughes' wife to make him hesitate. That is not regular villain behavior, that is delete my save files and uninstall the game behavior. But here's the thing about Envy. As disgusting as he is, as cruel as he is, and as much as he deserves every bit of hate he gets from the fandom, Envy is also one of the saddest homunculi in the entire series. Not because he was secretly good, he wasn't. Not because he had some tragic, heroic backstory that excuses everything, he absolutely did not. Envy is sad because his entire existence is built around a feeling he can never escape. He is jealousy given body, and that means no matter how much he laughs, no matter how much he mocks humans, no matter how many faces he steals, and no matter how many people he hurts, Envy could never be happy. Because the one thing he wanted most was the one thing he refused to admit he wanted at all. To be human, or at least to have what humans have. That's why his ending hits so hard. Envy doesn't lose because someone proves he's physically weak. He loses because someone finally sees through him. And for Envy, that is worse than death. At first, Envy seems pretty simple. He's the shapeshifter, the infiltrator, the troll, the annoying one who always shows up with that smug little grin like he just posted the worst take imaginable and is waiting for everybody to get mad. He can take the form of almost anyone. He can copy voices, he can blend into the military, he can turn into people you trust. That alone makes him terrifying, because Envy does not need to beat you in a fair fight to ruin your life. He just needs to become the right person at the right time. And Brotherhood shows us exactly how dangerous that is. One of Envy's biggest crimes is helping ignite the Ishvalan civil war. He disguises himself as an Emestrian soldier and shoots an Ishvalan child. One tiny moment, one pulled trigger, and suddenly, a country is thrown into mass bloodshed. That's Envy's whole style. He doesn't just kill people, he makes people destroy each other. And that's what makes him so ugly. Envy understands human weakness well enough to exploit it, but he doesn't understand human strength well enough to respect it. He sees grief, anger, fear, loyalty, and love, and instead of recognizing them as real, he treats them like buttons to press. And he presses them constantly. That is what happens with Hughes. Maes Hughes gets too close to the truth. He starts putting the pieces together, he realizes something massive is wrong with the country, and before he can warn Mustang, Envy steps in. First, Envy uses Maria Ross's face, but Hughes sees through it, and that already says a lot about Hughes. He's not some random clueless soldier. He's sharp, he notices the mistake, he understands something is off. But then, Envy changes into Gracia, Hughes' wife, and that's the moment everything collapses. Because Hughes can know it's not really her. He can understand the trick, he can have the gun ready, but his body still hesitates, because love is not logic. You don't instantly override the face of the person you built your life with. And Envy knows that. That's the cruelty. He doesn't just kill Hughes because Hughes is dangerous, he kills Hughes by using the thing Hughes loves most. That is why Envy feels so personal as a villain. Some villains attack your body. Envy attacks your attachments. He weaponizes the people that you care about. And the wild part is that's also the first big clue to why Envy is so miserable. Because Envy keeps using human love like it's a weakness. But deep down, he knows it isn't. He sees that humans get hurt because they care about each other, but he also sees that caring is the reason they keep moving forward. And that contradiction eats him alive. Envy acts like humans are pathetic. He calls them weak, he laughs at them, he treats their emotions like a joke, but every time humans stand back up, every time they protect each other, every time they forgive each other, every time they choose each other over revenge, it proves something Envy cannot handle. They have something real, and he doesn't. That's why his name is perfect. He isn't just jealous of human strength, he's jealous of human connection. He watches people like Edward, Alphonse, Mustang, Hawkeye, Hughes, Winry, Scar, and Ling, people who suffer horribly, people who lose things, people who get broken, and somehow they still form bonds. They still trust, and they still reach for each other. And envy can't do that. The homunculi call each other siblings, but let's be honest, that family dynamic is cursed. This is not a warm household. Nobody is sitting around the dining table asking Gluttony how his day went. Pride is not helping Wrath with homework. Lust is not packing lunch for Sloth before he goes off to dig underground tunnels for the next 400 years. They are tools. They are pieces of Father, and they exist to serve a plan, not to love each other. And envy knows that, even if he doesn't want to say it. That's why humans bother him so much, because humans are weak. But they're not empty, and envy is. That emptiness is hidden under all the attitude. He's loud, cruel, theatrical, and always trying to make himself seem bigger than he is. He talks like he's above everyone, he laughs like nothing matters, and he acts like human suffering is entertainment. But the more someone has to perform superiority, the more you start to wonder what they're trying to cover. And envy is covering a lot. Even his power is tragic when you think about it. Shapeshifting sounds amazing at first. You can become anyone, you can copy any face, any voice, any body. In another anime, that'd be broken. And if it may be, it's emotionally cursed. Because envy can become anyone, but he can't actually be anyone. He can copy Hughes' wife, but he can't understand what she means to Hughes. He can copy a soldier, but he can't feel the guilt of the war he helped start. He can copy humans perfectly on the outside, but he can never reach what makes them human on the inside. And that's brutal. His whole ability is basically the world's most toxic cosplay. He can wear every face except his own. And when we finally see what envy really looks like, it's horrifying. His monstrous form is enormous, disgusting, and covered in human faces. It looks powerful, but it also looks like a nightmare made out of stolen lives. This is not some majestic true form where the villain gets cooler. It feels like the mask coming off, and what's underneath is ugly. Not just physically ugly, spiritually ugly. Envy's true form shows what he really is. A pile of stolen souls, resentment, and insecurity pretending to be superior. That's what makes his later collapse so satisfying, because for most of the series, Envy gets away with playing other people's emotions against them. He makes Mustang furious, he mocks humans, he keeps trying to drag everyone down to his level, and for a while, it almost works. When Mustang finds out Envy killed Hughes, Roy doesn't just want justice anymore, he wants revenge. This is where Envy exposes one of his worst talents. He can make good people worse. He knows exactly how to press the wound. He knows Hughes was Mustang's closest friend. He knows Roy has been carrying that grief, so he reveals the truth in the cruelest way possible, almost proud of it. And Mustang snaps. Not just the flame snap, emotionally too. He starts burning Envy again and again, no mercy, no hesitation, just pure hatred wrapped in flame alchemy, and for a moment, Envy gets what he wants. He drags a human down, he turns Mustang's grief into something monstrous, and that's why that scene is so tense. It's not just about whether Mustang can kill Envy, of course he can. At that point, Envy is getting cooked so badly it feels less like a fight and more like a personal grudge with special effects. The real question is whether Mustang is gonna lose himself doing it. Because Envy would love that. If Mustang becomes nothing but revenge, then Envy gets to say, see, humans are just like us. All that love and loyalty and morality, it's fake. Push them hard enough and they become monsters too. That's what Envy wants to believe. He needs to believe it, because if humans are just as empty as he is, then he doesn't have to feel jealous anymore. But then the scene turns. Rizza, Scar, and Edward stop Mustang from going too far. They refuse to let him become what Envy wants him to become, and that is where Envy starts losing in a way fire alone could never accomplish. Because humans do the one thing he can't stand. They pull each other back. They stop each other from falling. They choose connection over destruction. Even Scar, of all people, understands what revenge can do to a person. This man has every reason to understand hatred, and even he knows Mustang cannot cross that line. That has to be unbearable for Envy. Imagine spending your entire life convincing yourself that humans are pathetic, only to watch them prove you wrong right in front of your face. Not with power, with restraint, with empathy, with the kind of bonds you secretly envy. And then Edward sees it. That's the moment envy truly breaks. Ed looks at him and realizes the truth. Envy doesn't hate humans because they're beneath him. He hates them because he's jealous of them. That's the worst possible thing anyone could say to envy. Not because it's an insult, but because it's accurate. Envy can handle pain, right? He can handle losing a body, he can handle being burned, he can handle humiliation to a point, but being understood? That destroys him. Because for the first time, someone sees the tiny, pathetic truth under all the masks. Envy is jealous. Jealous of human bonds, jealous of human courage, jealous of their ability to keep going after suffering, jealous of the way they can be weak and still have people reach for them. And once Ed says it out loud, envy has nowhere left to hide. That's why his death is so different from the other homunculi. Lust dies with dignity, wrath dies like a warrior, greed dies after finally understanding what he truly wanted, pride is reduced and reborn into something weaker, almost like the story gives him a chance to start over. But envy? Envy destroys himself. He tears out his own Philosopher's Stone and ends his own life because he would rather die than live with the humiliation of being seen by humans. That is dark, and it's also the perfect ending for him, because Envy's entire existence was based on denying the truth. He denied that humans had value. He denied that their bonds were real. He denied that he wanted anything that they had. But the second that lie collapses, he collapses with it. That is why envy could never be happy. Happiness requires honesty, and envy's whole life was a lie. He lied with his face, he lied with his voice, he lied with his cruelty, he lied every time he laughed at human suffering, he lied every time he pretended humans were beneath him. And the saddest part is that he was probably never built with a path toward anything better. Father created the homunculi by splitting off pieces of himself, his sins, his so-called weaknesses, the parts he wanted to remove. That means envy was born as a rejected feeling, a discarded insecurity, a piece of Father that existed because Father thought he could become perfect by cutting away everything human. So, envy was created from emotional denial. And then he spends his entire life denying emotion, right? No wonder he's miserable. He is a walking contradiction. He wants connection, but mocks it. He envies humans, but hates them. He copies faces, but has no identity. He calls humans weak, but can't survive being understood by them. That's why envy is more than just a nasty villain. He's one of FMAB's clearest warnings. Jealousy doesn't just make you want what someone else has. If you let it rot long enough, it makes you hate them for having it. And if it gets even worse, it makes you hate yourself for wanting it in the first place. That's envy. He couldn't be happy because happiness was always on the other side of something he refused to admit. He wanted what humans had, not their bodies, he could copy those, not their voices, he could fake those too. He wanted their bonds, their warmth, their ability to be broken and still loved, their ability to be weak and still not alone. And he hated them for it. That's what makes his ending so powerful. Envy spends the entire story trying to prove humans are worthless. But in his final moments, the humans understand him better than he understands himself. And that is the real punishment. Not Mustang's flames, not losing his body, not being reduced to that tiny, helpless form. The real punishment is being exposed. Because once Ed sees him clearly, envy has nothing left. No mask, no joke, no stolen face, no smug little performance, just the truth. And the truth is that envy was never above humans. He was looking up at them the entire time. So yeah, envy is evil, he's cruel, he caused suffering that can never be undone, but he's also pathetic in the most meaningful way. Not pathetic as in badly written, pathetic as in tragic. A creature born from jealousy, spending his whole life hating the exact thing he wanted most. That's why envy could never be happy, Because he didn't just envy humans, he envied the one thing he could never steal: their hearts. And no matter how many faces he wore, no matter how many lives he ruined, no matter how much chaos he created, that was the one form he could never take. So, I have to ask you, did Envy deserve pity in the end? Or was his death exactly what he earned? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you want more FMAB breakdowns that actually dig into why these characters hit so hard, make sure you're subscribed. Because next time, we might just have to talk about another homunculus who proved Father's whole idea of perfection was broken from the start. I'll catch you next time.